Is there a culture issue? Is there a culture issue?
They'll tell you no. They'll tell you no. They'll tell you that. But I think that the issues that they
because you'll we're in the building a lot, and you'll hear from the outside 53 brands.
Oh yeah.
Right. You'll hear players like they'll say team things in front of the media and do things behind the scene that aren't necessarily the words that they say aren't tied to the actions that they actually do. Do you believe that? Because you said the talent is there. The talent has been there. And maybe it's some of the coaching, maybe it's some of the front office, but how much of player or players have to wear some of this disappointment?
Oh no, that's the thing. And that's when this guy reached out to me and when I was talking about when I was bringing up about Dan Quinn. And he was saying, well, we need to wear this. I said, you absolutely need to wear that. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing the way that you guys went out there and played with so much on the line. That was horrible, And so to me, when I think of culture, I think of problems of culture like in Philadelphia with Terrell Owens. I've had, my experience of working in Philly, I had guys tell me in Philly, it's like, God, this guy's a cancer. He tries to take players that are players 51, 52, and 53 and turn them against the stars and and flip people and all. That to me sounds like a culture problem that you have that locker room. I do feel like, though, when you start to talk about, though, the Cowboys, it's not the turning, maybe it's the individualism that you're talking about. Is it, you took a lot of heat from Micah Parsons. I did too. I was before you, I'm going to say. I mean, I went after the Giants game when he was held off the sheet by a backup tackle. I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? Now it's like, and I give you credit, you've pushed it to the point where people talk about, well, do we need to move on from Micah Parsons here? And there's people in the building that would say, maybe so, but the fan base is like, Jesse, Bryan, you guys are
we're bitter, crusty haters.
Yeah, that's not true.
Yeah.
When you talk to people within the building, there are things that they're concerned about. And so when I hear that with people I respect, people that I've worked with, that kind of thing, that gets my attention, But so to your point, like with you're saying individually, there's probably some, that thing when they used to do the hot boys and all that stuff like that. I was kind of like, why are we doing this? Just like look at Kansas City, the way that Kansas City went. Kansas City never had to go on the road and play playoff football. Right. What did they do? They went and played playoff football.
On the road. Against some of the toughest.
Yeah.
You're talking about against Buffalo. Against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
And to go and to, what I'm saying, let your nuts hang.
That to me is right there when, you start to think, well, this team lost so much in this. But that's a team that, sure, they have the best quarterback in the National Football League, but the coaching, the defensive coordinator, no attention to detail. Yeah. Attention to detail. And sometimes with Mike, I don't think there's always attention to detail there. And I think that kind of carries over into his team sometimes.
I wanted to ask you a question, and just a couple more questions and we'll be done. But I wanted to ask you a question because I hear this more now than ever. A lot of people will say when you or when someone else may have connections to, and I know you hear it a lot now that you're on the radio.
Right.
They say, I always laugh when it's always, people pay me to may say something negative about a player or something. Like, it's one of the funniest things in the world because I go, does Jerry have my number or can he get my number? Sure. But the check that y'all think I'm like, why do people think if you or someone in our kind of a circle has something that may not be as popular to say about a player, that we're moles, or we've been sent by the higher ups. Like that there's a bat phone that someone calls and says, hey, you're going to say this, and this about a player. Like I've never understood that. Where does that thought process come from?
Yeah, I don't
How
know.
much do you hear that?
No, I hear it a lot. And the thing about it is that, the thing about it is you and I work on a similar platform with DallasCowboys.com. And I went 3 years trying to fire Jason Garrett while working at DallasCowboys.com. See, that's what I'm saying.
Too.
That's what I'm saying. The one thing the Jones family, I bumped into Jerry one time, and he told me, he goes, you're kicking my ass right now, but you're fair about it. And so, I went back in my office and almost threw up, and, I thought that's the end of me there. But Jerry, they allow us to have that I have never one time had any member of the Jones family walk up to me and say, you are full of S right now. You're going to, I've never had any, and I worked for the Joneses for 14 years, as 6 years in scouting and, and then with the rest of the time in DallasCowboys.com. But I never, like I said, as far as working now on 105.3 The Fan, they think, oh, you're the station of the Cowboys. Yeah. There's been some times where they have come up and said, you guys are a little harsh. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's coming from the Joneses. It's coming from the PR departments and other things like that. And you have to be, the whole thing is, Jesse, we try and be fair. Yeah. We try and be fair. If Dak Prescott plays great in a post game, I'm talking about the greatness. If he plays poorly the next week, I'm talking about him, not just Dak, but anybody. That's my job. But you have to be fair about it. But not one time has a Jones family member ever come to me and said, Jerry told me, he goes, you're kicking my ass, but you're fair. But they've never asked me to shill or to, hey, say this or say this about a player, say this about an agent. That's never.
And I did the pre and post game show for, I think 7 seasons.
Yeah.
For the station that you work at now, and we're the last ones. We're the cleaning staff, if they're the bar staff clean up the bar, and the post game show.
Yeah.
And you see Steven and you see Jerry, and you see players and you see coaches. They walk right up and through the, and
never say a word.
Never say a word.
Yeah.
And we all know, if you don't know, they listen.
They do. And don't ever feel like, because sometimes we block out the noise. We don't do that. No, they know. I had Jason Witten walk up to me one time and say, what the hell are you talking about right now? And I'm like, what? What did I do now? Right. He goes, you said, and I'm like, okay, I did. So players know, coaches know. Trust me, the hard thing was when I was myself and David Hellman working with DallasCowboys.com, you get on an airplane traveling to go play the Giants, and you might pick the Giants to win that week, and you walk through the first class section.
And all the guys are looking at you.
Every one of those guys would look at me. Jason Garrett would give me that hate smile. Yeah, okay. But then, at the end of the day, maybe they'd lose. We did it in Seattle one time. Me and Hellman got on the plane last, went through the front after we picked Seattle, and the coaches, no eye contact. No eye contact at all. But no, I take no satisfaction of talking. It's my job to talk about the team. But I don't take any satisfaction. Oh, I'm going to go after
right.
And
Dak you've always been fair. You've always been fair, and I believe that I'm fair a lot of times. Yeah. But it's always it's. They never remember the praise, and they never remember the.
Oh, I reminded this guy the other day.
Yeah.
I did. I go. I've had guys text me in the middle of my radio show, bitching about something, and I'm like, fine. And then I go on break, and I call up. I go, why aren't you texting me when I say something good about you guys? Why is it every time that you feel like I'm kicking your ass that you have to text in? I do say good things, and I know you're listening to what we're saying. Right. So, yeah, it's tough.